Ever feel like aerobic workouts are boring and redundant? Well, the G1S Plus can add fun to your exercise workout. The G1S Plus allows you to be active, get in shape, and be entertained at the same time. The 360-degree rotating 24-inch screen allows you to ride with a scenic view, listen to music, and watch YouTube videos. The G1S Plus gets your body into shape, is convenient, entertaining, and keeps you healthy. Click the link below for the promo. Hi. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Guys, let me know if you can hear me. Welcome. So this is Migrant Crisis Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I go live by myself. Sometimes I have guests, and it's centered around the migrant crisis that is going on. And I may add another story or two. The second story that I am going to talk about towards the end of the show is Killa Mike. And I came across this story via the Star Report. So not going to be up here long. It's going to be under an hour. I want to get right into it because I'm going to talk about the migrant crisis that is going on in New York. Let me bring myself down here. Or should I make myself bigger? I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, Eric Adams. I'm saying, he's in the process of evicting New York City residents for migrants. That's where this is headed. That's exactly where it's headed. Guys, please hit the like button, share this video. Thumbs up. Thank you, Passport Bro. Don't do apps, but do appreciate you both. Thank you. And if you want to donate, you could donate via Super Chat or my Cash App. I did put it in, I pinned it to the in the chat, i.e. the Love Room. And actually, let me scroll it at the bottom here as well. Right? All right. So let me get into it because I don't want to waste any time tonight. Where do I want to start? Let's see. Where's Fani Willis? Let me start there. I have this in my notes. Where's Fani? Thank you, Miss Fani Willis, for giving me a whole lot of content to work with to get my numbers up, to get me up in the algorithm with your BS. But where's Fani? She testified last week, Thursday. And we have not heard, seen, smell of her since. Where is she hiding? Oh, trust and believe we're going to be smoking that fanny pack again tomorrow, Thursday night for Man Up Thursday with me and Judge Joe Brown. Yes. So I just wanted to throw that. Where's Fani? All right. New York City Council wants to take Eric Adams to court in bitter feud over housing voucher reforms. Now, we all know housing vouchers is to help assist New York City residents who are United States citizens, right, with rent so that they won't be homeless, so that they won't have to go to a shelter. Rent in New York City is sky high. It's at the highest ever that has ever been. Before I play the video, it says, and actually, let me make this bigger. Yeah. What does it look like here? Okay, good. Perfect. New York City Council wants to take a bitter feud with Mayor Eric Adams over housing vouchers to court, and rightfully so. I agree with them. Lawmakers asked Wednesday to join a class action suit that looks to force the mayor to comply with controversial housing reforms that his administration has defiantly decided to ignore. Adams usurps the powers of the council as a co-equal branch of city government. At the center of the beef are changes to the program called City FHEPS, City FELPS, which put people facing eviction on the fast track to get housing vouchers without first having to spend 3 months in the city shelter system. I think it's a great idea. This is a great program for New York City residents who are United States citizens. It goes on to say, if the council's motion to intervene is granted, the council will join a lawsuit filed by the Legal Aid Society and 4 people who were allegedly prevented from getting city rental assistance despite recent changes. The council enacted City Phelps, that City FHEPS, reform laws to ensure housing vouchers are used to more effectively help prevent low-income New Yorkers from facing eviction and homelessness. And the mayor's administration has a responsibility to implement local laws. The administration's failure to implement these laws has harmful consequences for New Yorkers who lack access to housing security and need more support. As our city faces housing shortage, it is critical to protect low-income New Yorkers from losing their homes and being forced to join the ranks of those in similar economic circumstances searching for new homes. The motion is the latest move in the months-long jockeying between Adams and the city council over the controversial changes, which also raised the income cutoff to qualify for aid and barred landlords from deducting utility costs from vouchers. So they're making it harder and more difficult for New York residents who are legally citizens here to get housing vouchers. Majority of the people in New York rely on housing assistance and housing vouchers. And more so than any other time now, especially after COVID. And I do have some data to show, the increase of evictions since COVID. Now, Adams vetoed changes back in June of 2023, because now we're going to bring in what the migrants got to do with this, right? And why this is so controversial and why they're suing him. So Adam vetoed changes back in June of 2023. He argued that the bill's $17 billion price tag was simply impossible due to the ongoing migrant crisis. So he's basically saying, I'm going to veto this bill that was created to help house New York City's residents so that they won't be homeless, because we have a migrant crisis going on. And we need to allocate some of this $17 billion to the migrants who are illegals. They're not asylum seekers. They're not legal migrants. They are illegals. The council overrode the veto a month later, arguing City Hall overshot the cost of the bill by $7 million. Shortly before the laws went into effect on June 9th, Adams told lawmakers that he would not implement them and that they were welcome to take him to court. So he said, yeah, take me to court. I don't care. In a statement, a City Hall spokesperson claims that city FHEPS reforms will only make it harder for New Yorkers to shelters to move into permanent housing due to the historical low residential vacancies. Adams administration has already lifted a 90-day shelter requirement, expanding cities' Phelps eligibility, and even increased permanent housing placements by 17%. But the specifics of the City Phelps policy violate state law. So the city council argues that Adams' implication that the new reforms are legally invalid and suggests that if City Hall's concerns are legitimate, they should duke it out in court. So they're taking him to court because Adams wants to expand this program for illegals. And the problem is, you either want to, they're changing the requirements to make it harder for New Yorkers to get this assistance. And so now the city council wants to join a lawsuit to sue him.
10,000 households have vouchers, and they're in the shelter system, unable to find a home. And the cost of what the city council is proposing will cost $17 billion. So not only are we dealing with a cost factor, but we have a shortage of housing. So you aggravate the problem when you're now going to give thousands of more people vouchers to compete with those who will have vouchers in their hands. So the way out of this is, number one, to build more. And that's what our City of Yes proposal is about. And that is what we are discussing with Albany right now. The governor gets it. I get it. We all get it. And we don't want to aggravate a problem. And then when you look at the proposal, a person gets a letter stating that they are behind in their rent. Now they're eligible for a voucher. Listen, good intentions, because we want to be as supportive as all New Yorkers as possible, but a real financial burden on the city and taxpayers' dollars.
Okay, so that was just a quick clip.
So, have you thought about moving?
Let me go here. Yeah. Well, let me bring this down a little bit here. Okay. So that was a clip there. I want to share this because the problem is, and this is a YouTuber called CashJordan. I follow him. He has very, very good content, and his numbers are high, honey. But he's in New York, and he breaks down the housing crisis, right? So New York City is basically suffering a migrant crisis by way of the Biden administration and the sanctuary cities and sanctuary states policies, but it's putting a burden on the residents, especially in New York City and Chicago, right? But let's just focus on New York City. New York City rent is high. It's probably the top 2 of the highest cities with extremely high rent in this nation. And they have limited housing. So a lot of these developers that are building, they're building luxury homes, luxury apartments. They're not building more affordable homes. However, people who are having a hard time paying their rent because the landlords are increasing their rent by 40, 60%, they need assistance. But now the New York City residents have to compete with the illegals for housing vouchers. You already have over 1 million illegals that came into New York. They're trying to tell you only 50,000. No, it's over 1 million. Well, close to it. And you mean to tell me that you're cutting city programs that is meant for New York City residents? You're slashing those programs so you can allocate some of that money to help assist the illegals, which means that a lot of New York City residents are going to be homeless, are going to be living in a shelter. So I want to play just the first minute and a half of this video. New York City is making people homeless on purpose. And I actually will put the link to this video in the description. You guys could go back and watch the whole 17 minutes.
For the last 50 years, New York City had laws that forced landlords to build affordable apartments. But those laws have expired, affordable vanishing, and the city's leaders don't seem interested in doing anything about it. Why is that?
It's a city with more than 8 million people, but the lack of housing supply has led to astronomically high rents.
I received a letter telling me that the rent would be increased 65%.
If you want to live worry-free, I'd say you need to be making 6 figures.
Your income has to be nearly twice the median to afford rent.
I think a lot of us probably spend outside of our means living here.
In just the last decade, housing costs skyrocketed by more than 68%, according to a recent report.
It's kind of a pressure cooker in New York City. People are moving into the city at a phenomenal pace.
As daunting as this housing crisis is, it is not unsolvable.
It says 1 in 3 New Yorkers spend half of their income on rent. Mind you, right? you're not supposed to spend over 30% on your rent or mortgage of your income. No one should be spending over 30% on shelter, but they're spending at least half. So that means they have to cut back on food, on clothing, if they have children or extracurricular activities. All right, honey, let me get past this commercial.
Welcome to New York City, where you'll find all the ingredients for affordable housing, like a progressive legislature, a progressive government. But in spite of this, New York City's middle class is getting squeezed beyond belief by some of the highest rents in the entire country. But what if I told you that was because one law expired and was never replaced for some reason? And in the 2 years since this law expired, New York City has become even less affordable. And the thing nobody wants to talk about is that even if there is a replacement, rents are still going to go up, and this place still might be unaffordable for most of us. But before we get into what changed, why it changed, and what the city needs to do to dig itself out of this mess, and why even the best, most well-intentioned plans still might not do anything to save New York City's middle class, look around. Look at all this. New building, renovated building, new buildings on both sides of the street, new building. This building's so new, it's still shining. But then over here, we've got a problem.
All right. So I don't want to play the whole thing because it's not my video. But like I said, go to CashJordan on YouTube to watch the whole 17 minutes, because he kind of, in 17 minutes in a short video, he kind of breaks it down quickly as to why the rent is high, what the numbers look like. And I actually pulled up some of the data as well. However, again, back to the migrant crisis, what do the migrant crisis have to do with this? Everything. Because New York City residents who pay actually two taxes, well, three, federal, because you work in federal taxes. They pay New York state taxes. And if you live in one of the 5 boroughs in New York City, you pay a city tax. Yeah. So you mean to tell me that, first of all, you are allowing these developing companies who are building these luxury apartments or so-called affordable apartments, you are allowing them to set the price. You are allowing them to increase the rent over 5% annually. The programs that you have intact, you change the eligibility by increasing the income. So now you're making it harder for people to even qualify for the vouchers. But guess what? If you are an illegal, you get everything for free. You get $15,000 a year. You get a free debit card. You get free health care. You're getting free education. Yeah. You have private companies like Walmart letting you get free clothes. But as a taxpayers, no, you don't qualify, because they're changing the eligibility to make it harder for you to qualify. It says here, evictions nearly tripled in 2023 as compared to 2022, when the end of the statewide tenant protections enacted earlier in the pandemic triggered a steady rise in the number of legal lockouts across the 5 boroughs. There were over 100 more evictions in October and November 2023 than in the period of 2019. So let's say it's 2,400 evictions, and in 2019 it was 2,300, right? And if we look at it, when we're talking about, so this is a chart here. So New York City residential evictions between 2017 and 2023. Damn, in 2018 it was kind of high. Then it drops, then it goes back, drop. So let's go to 2020, right? In January of 2020, New York City residential evictions were 1,400. And then by May of 2020 is 0,000,000. And then the state eviction momentum ended in 2022, right? So New Jersey had the same thing, and so did a lot of other states, particularly California as well. But what happened when the state evictions moratorium ended? The landlords tripled, quadrupled the rent increase by at least 40, 50, and 60%. And the state and city government allowed them to do that. See, they're trying to make that money that they lost during the pandemic, even though they got that money through PPP loans, all these other special programs that allocated money to homeowners or redeveloping companies or people that own, buildings and stuff. They had a lot of money on the back end, not just the PPP. Because nobody wasn't paying rent, they still had to pay their mortgage, right? It all trickles down, but they got reimbursed from the federal government and the state. But when the state evictions moratorium ended, they said, you know what? I'm going to increase rent by over 40% because they didn't have to pay for 2 years. So I want to make that money back, even though I was still getting money from the state and the federal government. When they weren't paying rent, the state and the federal government was paying a rent for the tenants. I'm still going to increase the rent by over 40%. Well, a lot of people didn't get their jobs back. A lot of people are unemployed, or if they went back to work, they weren't making as much money as before. So now the eviction goes all the way up. But now in 2023, going into 2024, New York City has a migrant crisis. We have a migrant crisis. In Manhattan, the median monthly rent in July was $4,400. What the hell? This is in 2023, a 6% increase compared to 1 year ago. And I think that's for a studio. That's not even like a 4 or 5 bedroom, $4,400. So now we have the migrant crisis in New York. $53 million pilot program will begin with a group of 500 families in short-term hotel stays and is intended to replace the current food service provided. So a family of 4 migrants with 2 children under the age 17 could get $15,200 a year under the Big Apple's controversial $53 million program to dole out prepaid credit cards to so-called fake illegal asylum seekers. Now, who is the company, the bank that is providing these debit cards? So details of the immediate response card initiative have been scant ever since the Post reported earlier this month that the city had linked a multi-million-dollar contract with New Jersey banking company Mobility Capital Finance to dish out the taxpayers' funds to illegals to help them buy food. Mind you, I spoke about this last week because Joy Reid called herself trying to educate us on food stamps. And she was saying how the bank is owned by a Black man. So all us Black folk should be happy that a wealthy former JP Morgan executive who started his own banking firm company, right? We should be happy that it's a Black man that got this multi-million-dollar contract that is giving millions of dollars to illegals. Not the Black people that live in New York, right? If we're just talking Black here, we should be happy that it is a Black man that owns the banking company, Mobility Capital Finance, that is giving millions of dollars to illegals. Facing scrutiny, the city's Department of Housing Preservation and Development insisted Tuesday that the $53 million will both cover fees and other expenses for the bank, known as MoCalFi, as well as cash being dished out to migrants as part of a 1-year pilot program. So this is a pilot program starting off with 500 families. But if this program is a success, they're going to allocate this to all of the illegals. Basically, the illegals are here to stay. They ain't going nowhere. And they're going to get all the benefits. City officials gave the Post a breakdown chart of exactly how much asylum seeker families stand to receive under the program, ranging from $345 a month for a single migrant to $2,200 per month for a family of 8. This is just one of many programs that they have. A family of 3 could receive $932 per month, while a family of 4, $1,195 allowance per month to use at bodegas, grocery stores, supermarkets, convenience stores. Well, newsflash, bodegas, their headquarters are in the Dominican Republic. That's not even an American company. People that own bodegas, yes, they may be citizens or permanent residents or have a green card, but a lot of them send that money back to their country. The monthly amounts increase for those who have children, $100 a month for those with kids under 5, $36 for those with children between 7 and 17, blah, 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 blah. A pregnant asylum seeker receives additional $36 a month per prepaid card. Well, what about the pregnant women, single mothers, already here in the 5 boroughs in New York? I'm reading out this program here, right? Because I want to ask the question, where is the program like this to help assist New Yorkers, New York residents, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, it doesn't matter. The citizens of New York, the single mothers, the veterans who are homeless, men and women who are, did their time in prison and they're coming home to what? To be homeless and to commit more crimes. Where are the programs? Where are the pilot programs, right? Allocated to the citizens, the New York residents. The programs that currently exist, they have to share with the illegals. The programs that currently exist, the eligibility is being changed to make it harder for New York City residents to qualify. But if you are an illegal, all that red tape disappears. I want to go into, I have another video here that I want to play with Eric Adams.
The company that was hired to provide these debit cards for migrants to purchase food. Several questions, including the amount of money that they're getting paid, the fact that the same company was fired in Detroit because it was giving information about the credit card holders to ICE, and also questions about whether these debit cards for food are good for people who are in hotels and don't have the ability to cook food. I wonder if you could answer all these questions and whether you're going to review the company and its actions to see if it's actually good for the project.
So we have to be, I gave a mandate to the team, particularly our budget director, Jack Jihad, and stated we have to find a 20% decrease in the dollars that we are spending on migrants and asylum seekers. We have to find ways to cut corners and bring down the cost. And while we're doing that, we also wanted to address the food waste issue, which, mind you, 90% of the people were consuming the food, but there still was a 10%. And we wanted to find a zero loss to taxpayers' dollars. 177,000 people were required.
1 second. No, we understand that, Joyce. We do understand that we are being replaced. We know. Black people are starting to wake up. And then you know who's next to be replaced? White people. Yeah. We're not going to be the only ones replaced. But we're going to be the first ones to be replaced because we're an easier target. But white people are going to be replaced next. Over 3 million illegals have entered this country with no background checks from all over the world, not just in South America. A lot of them coming from China. A lot of them coming from the Middle East. A lot of them coming from the continent of Africa. Yeah.
To give them 3 meals a day. We're required to accommodate them and house them and their cleaning and all the other things. And we're required to pay us dollars, as the food waste issue, which, mind you, 90% of the people were consuming the food, but there still was a 10%. And we want to find a zero loss to taxpayers' dollars. 177,000 people. We're required to give them 3 meals a day. We're required to accommodate them and house them and their cleaning and all the other things. And what this city has done without the support that we believe we should be getting from the national government, we have been picking up the responsibility of doing so. And we've done a great job in doing so. International leaders have come and realized what we have done. Specifically with this card, it's a 500-person pilot project to see if it's successful. It is going to save us in the area of $7.2 million a year. I believe $600,000 a month. If we just sit back and just state we're going to just allow people to be here forever and just continue to hit taxpayers with dollars, not trying things new and different, we're not going to solve this problem.
All right. So you heard him when he said we have an obligation to house them, to feed them, to basically care for them. They are required to do that. Yeah, because they are a sanctuary city. But the thing with sanctuary city, and you know what? When I do the next show on migrants next week, Wednesday, I'm going to pull up what are the statutes? What is the exact policy of a sanctuary city? Because is it your responsibility to house them and to feed them? I don't think so. It is your responsibility to not report them to ICE. But I don't think it's sanctuary city's responsibility to actually house and feed illegals. So that would be next week. But again, the problem is, and that's what the reporter was asking him about this bank partnership, MoCalFi, MoCalFi, the partnership pilot. They did the same thing in Detroit. And then they found out that the information, the data information with these credit cards, he was giving the information over to ICE. So it's like, yeah, we're going to give you this free money, but we're going to give this information to ICE. So, of course, when Donald Trump comes into office, right, and if the Congress is Republicans, he's probably going to be the president known as the mass deportation president of all times, right? He's probably going to top Obama because he's going to do a mass deportation, and you're going to have all the information through ICE via this debit card. But this debit card is a scam because this is not, I don't want to play the full 9 minutes. And I got to see how am I on time. Yeah, I'm not going to play the full 9 minutes. I do want to highlight this. So New York, this is what the Daily Mail. New York migrant debit cards are costing far more than Eric Adams claims and are propped up by an inexperienced Jersey-based bank that he's been looking for something to do since campaign. So City Hall has claimed that the $53 million program is meant to save the city money. But the contract allows for an open-ended deal that could cost several billions. Aha. So the mayor is lying. He's saying that this pilot program, we're seeing if it's a success, then we're going to keep it and we're going to expand it. But the purpose of this pilot program with the debit cards is to save money. But they're saying at the Daily Mail, no. Because when you read the fine print, you're actually going to be spending more money. New York City's contract with an inexperienced bank to hand out debit cards to asylum seekers could cost as much as $10,000 per migrant, according to a new report. Democrat Mayor Eric Adams has claimed the pilot program will start with 500 families. We all know that at the Roosevelt Hotel, right? It was supposed to save money by allowing migrants to buy food and baby supplies, right? Which officials say will save $600,000 per month, $7.2 million annually. But in reality, the contract's fine print leaves the option open for the program to become an open-ended multi-billion-dollar deal. The $53 million is not the total cost. Rather, it is only the fee that the Mobility Capital Finance, MoCalFi, will receive for its services. As explicitly stated in the contract, City Hall has actually given itself the flexibility to disperse at least $2.5 billion on the prepaid debit cards over a year. The contract allots up to $10,000 per migrant with no ID check or fraud control. Although City Hall has said they will make the migrants sign an affidavit promising only to use the card for food and baby supplies. So basically, the $53 million is not the total cost. It is only the fee that the Mobility Capital Finance will receive for its services. So that in a contract allots up to $10,000 per migrant. They're not doing an ID check or fraud background or no type of fraud control. They're just saying, sign this paper promising to only use it for food. So the thing is, if you are asking them to promise by way of signature to only use it for food and baby supplies, that means that they could use that card for anything. Because, like, if you have an EBT card, you could only use it at supermarkets. And matter of fact, you can't even buy hot food with the EBT card. This is not a food stamp card like dumbass Joy Reid was trying to say or trying to explain to us. This is not a food stamp card. This is an actual prepaid debit card that one bank, which just so happened to be owned by a Black man, he got this multi-billion-dollar contract. And the $53 million that is going to this bank, this finance company, is only paying for the fees. He's going to be charging them more money on the back end. And these people have to promise to only use it for food. They could go to Macy's. They could go to Nordstrom's. They could go buy them some new Jordans. They could use that card for whatever. They just signed an affidavit saying, okay, I'm promised to only use it for this, even though I could use it for whatever. It is not a food stamp card. And it's not about, this is really nepotism and immoral capitalism practice. But you have people like Mayor Eric Adams, like a Joy Reid, that always want to fall on this Black shit. Because she said in the clip that I highlighted last week, it's Black History Month. And you know who owns the bank that's getting this contract is a Black man. So fucking what? He's benefiting himself. Probably got a white wife. But even if he doesn't, that money is still going to his family. He doesn't live in a black neighborhood. So his taxes, right? When he pays his taxes, it's for his wealthy community where he lives at. It's not helping black people. And this is the black guy. This is the guy. What's his name? He is the founder of MoCalFi. A former JP Morgan Chase managing director, Woe Coaxum. I wonder if he's FBA, honey. Yeah, this is him. How a fintech founder sought purpose after injustice. In late summer of 2014, Woe Coaxum was glued to the television in his Wall Street office. He watched in horror as violent riots broke out in Ferguson, Missouri, after police fatally shot unarmed black teenagers. Black teenager Michael Brown. Coax, who is black, it was unfathomable to see similar images he grew up watching in documentaries about civil rights movement and hear the same conversations about how to solve racial problems. I'm not reading all this because he's going on this black thing, right? He grew up in Cleveland, son of activist parents. At the time, he was head of JP Morgan Chase, Inc., New York. He was part of the C-suites. Yes, he was. But then he left to create Mobility Capital Finance. And now this man has a $53 million contract with New York City to give prepaid debit cards to illegals. But you were in horror of the 2014 riots in Ferguson. You talk about your journey to being a C-suite. You're almost there, but you decided to leave to start your own finance company. To do what? To benefit non-citizens. And this is what I'm saying about this black trope bullshit. Just because it's a black face doesn't mean they're for black people. It's actually the opposite. Color has nothing to do with it. It really don't. What has this man done for Black America? Nothing. Nothing. I skimmed through some articles in his resume. Trust me, he has not done anything for Black America. But put his face in the about section in his company so you can all know that this finance company is owned by a black man. So if I could do it, you could do it too. That's what he's saying to Black America. If I could do it, you could do it too. That's what he's done for Black America. Give you hope. My point is, this whole illegal migrant thing is not going anywhere. They are here to stay. It is a plan. It is deliberate. It is a scam. And the 1%ers at the top, or the top 5%ers, they're reaping the benefits. This is big business for the elite, for the top 10, really top 5% of companies and individuals, wealthy people, families, or what have you. It is big business for big corporate. It just so happened this particular black man in his finance company, he's using race bait. So when we see people like us in those high power financial positions, or CEOs or CFOs or C-suites, they got there by being a race baiter. They do not support, help, reach back in the Black community. It shows because his contract is helping illegals. They're not even helping Americans. Forget the color. They're not even helping Americans. He's helping illegals. He's helping illegals. Speaking of black, I want to get to Killa Mike. Oh, actually, let me share this one real quick before I get to the Killa Mike thing. Was it this? Investment banker turned startup founder seeks fairness in finance. Yeah, you see he's standing in front of a damn bodega. That's not black owned. Okay, he's 50. Well, when was this article? In 2021. So he's like 22, 23, 24. So he's 53. He's wealthy. He's a multimillionaire. Got his bachelor's in history from Williams College, an MBA, NYU Stern School of Business, MoCalFi bank accounts are chartered with the FDIC through partnership with Sunrise Banks. The startup draws its revenue through the exchange fees, merchant pay, credit card processor, right? And partnership fund for New York City. So he has, partnership with New York City. I don't see no wedding ring, honey. I wonder if he married. The only thing this man could do for me is date me, because he ain't looking to help no black people, honey. Mm-mm. But anyway, let me get to Killa Mike. Honey, Killa Mike. Killa Mike was caught on camera being a dream killer to children. I'm calling him Dusty Mike. Actually, let me share it this way. Dusty Mike.
And I'm trying to find a cure for cancer. And I'm going to make a rocket that can go into the sun. What do you want to be? A president, and I will make You want to be a president? Yes, please. I forgot to tell you, I'm going to be a scientist, remember? Yes. And I'm going to make this potion that will make my whole family superheroes. You owe your parents not to dream big. You owe it to your parents to dream practical and start making money as soon as you can. Like, you're not going to be able to be president. Do you guys know what a carpenter is? Yeah. Yes, my dad worked for a carpenter and now he has his own business.
So the little girl saying, my dad, I know what a carpenter is, and he owns his own business. Why would you say to children, you won't never be president? And he did say a president. He should have said, president of a company, a CEO. What kind of president, right? So not only it's like he's not only he's a dream killer, he kills children's ambition. You to be practical. What the hell does that mean? No, we need to start teaching our children to shoot for the stars, to work hard and go after and achieve your passion. Perfect your passion, because the money is going to come, right? The money is going to come, but we need to instill in our children to be creative, to be independent thinkers, to read, to work hard, to have confidence, to be go-getters, to have ambition, to have drive, and to have them understand you can achieve anything you want to do if you focus and work hard and put your mind to it. I don't care that this was 4 years ago. I don't care, because he's actually saying the same thing now with trade school. Yes, you can become a multimillionaire if you have a trade. But you know what this clip remind me of? This.
We all like you here, you know that. But you're a nigger, and a lawyer is no realistic goal for a nigger.
But why, Mr. Ostrowski? I get the best grades in class. I got voted class president. I want to be a lawyer.
Now, I want you to think about something that you can be. You're good with your hands, making things. People would give you work. I would myself. Why don't you become a carpenter? That's a good profession for a color. Wasn't your pa a carpenter? Jesus was a carpenter. People like you as a person. You're doing real well. Remember what we said. Nothing succeeds like success. Let me hear it.
Nothing succeeds like success.
Same thing. So this is technically Killa Mike and Whiteface. And that's how he was talking to that black boy. You was very attentive, you know, to the white child, because when he said you have to be practical, you won't be president, you were looking at the black kids. And then the little white girl kind of co-signed, well, my dad is a carpenter, he owns his own business. Right? But Killa Mike, that wasn't his message to be a business owner. He's saying be practical. Don't dream big. You owe it to your parents not to dream big. Now, fast forward, because that clip with Netflix was what? Like people saying 4 years ago. But guess what? Fast forward to 2024.
Years are debt free. You don't have to pay the government anything back. So she doesn't get to drag him into court and the court doesn't say you owe us money for investing in your child through food programs, through early Head Start programs. Because in those 2 years, the boy has the option, or not an option, he has a demand of the co-man to then go to a trade school. You have to go to a trade school, which incentivizes the United States to do it because we need more tradespeople. We don't have enough carpenters, we don't have enough electricians, we don't have enough people building roads. In my community, the girls are going to college and graduating. They have no men to marry because the boys are not going to college in the same way. My teachers were married to a tradesman. My teacher, who we call doctor, her husband owned a locksmith company. Her husband was a carpenter, was a mechanic. So they had a good life. Their kids went to school, right, the same schools we went to. I think that the incentive to solving the child support problem and a part of solving our infrastructure problem is to incentivize young boys who have gotten a girl pregnant. You must now go through 2 years of trade school.
Well, wait a minute. So, okay, I like what you're saying.
Let me give you the rest of the answer first.
Okay, go ahead.
After that boy graduates, you get a further incentive if you and the girl marry. If you and the girl marry, we'll give you these incentives: zero finance home loans, something out of HUD besides an apartment with a leaky faucet and rats and roaches in it, but incentivize marriage, which then strengthens our community, the black community, and strengthens the greater community, because now you have more American marriages, you have people with stronger financial stability, and you have tradespeople married to women of education, and you begin to...
Let me just pause it right there for a second, because he said incentivize marriage. So what he just laid out is to help convince black men, these are your incentives if you get somebody pregnant and if you marry them. Well, that's not how it works in the real world. But they do have incentives for married couples, right? More so if one of the people in the marriage, more so the wife than the husband, is a stay-at-home, is a homemaker. So if you are married and one of them, particularly the wife, is a homemaker, you get a tax credit. You get a whole lot of other deductibles. That's the incentive of marriage. But he wants to create a specific incentive of marriage for Black America. How about we start teaching the young boys before they become men how to be a man, what it takes to be a husband, things he needs to accumulate before he gets a woman pregnant. Why don't we start instilling that into our culture, into the morals of, our children? That should be the incentives. Programs to reprogram the way we raise our children, the way they are educated, the way they think about marriage, about family planning, about education, about their careers, about finance, about money. Now, he's saying that he should not have to pay child support for 2 years as long as he's in trade school. Some of this message was just weird. Because if you get a woman pregnant, you need to be a man and work and go to school and do what you got to do to take care of your family. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're giving Black men an excuse to be mediocre. The same way he was talking to those kids, particularly those Black kids, 4 years ago. Training people to be mediocre. Specifically training young Black boys and young Black men to be mediocre.
Recreate communities like what Auburn Avenue was, what Edgewood was. I believe you could do this from the executive order because the money that funnels down from the feds through the states to help mothers, then it can be attached, well, we're not only helping mothers, we're helping fathers too. If a boy gets a woman pregnant, not only does she receive TANF, I see your face, right? Good idea. If a woman receives TANF, she receives this, the boy now has a must. You're federally required now to go to trade school. And in those 2 years, what you put out on the other side is a person who's trained, a person who has an incentive to marry, and a person who becomes a taxpayer and not just a taker of tax.
Yeah, so federally obligated to go to trade school. Again, this is why celebrities, particularly rappers, singers, doesn't matter. Celebrities need to stop talking about politics. Stop it. I don't care if you're a conscious rapper. Stop talking about politics because y'all sound dumb. Y'all sound delusional. And does Killa Mike have a large following? Yes. But you're telling a young Black boy to be practical and realistic and he can't be president. Well, Negro, you need to be realistic. You sat down and you said to yourself, what would I like to see? What fantasy, that the government can create to help Black men, the Black family, yada, yada, yada. And then also what you are promoting is for Black women and Black men to once again rely on the government for economic upward mobility, for sustainability. Solely rely on the federal government. That is a problem. That's a problem. So I say all that to say, if we want to start changing our culture for the better, if we want to start changing and start building stronger family units, marriages, you have to start instilling that in our youth. You have to start with the youth. You have to start training them young to be a man, to be a woman, to be a wife, to be a husband, to be a provider, to know how to take care of a home, to know how to cook, to be educated, to know finance, to know about money, the stocks, how to budget. You need to start instilling those core values to the youth at a young age. That is how we change the culture. That is how we change the wealth gap. Yes, of course, reparations, of course. But what I'm saying, to sustain Black America, we have to invest in our children. I don't know what's this bullshit he's talking about. So yeah, Killa Mike, I'm giving him Dusty. He is Dusty Mike. All right, guys, listen. Thank you for tuning in for Migrant Crisis Wednesday with me, Dana with the data. Thank you, Eric. He says we have wake up and realize that people in power are making money off our government money, the banks, landlords, food providers. Yes, honey. It's if you have a business, whether you're getting grants or whether you're getting contracts, it is money for business owners know that they can make millions of dollars through state and federal contracts. Yeah. They don't care who they're serving, whether they're legals or not. Oh, don't do apps, but I do appreciate you both. Thank you. That was from earlier. So again, you know, every Wednesday I talk about the migrant crisis. Tomorrow, Judge Joe Brown and me for Man Up Thursdays. Yes, we still smoking on that fanny pack. Where's Fanny? Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, share, comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.